All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We're talking about the Seattle Seahawks in today's video. I see you guys are already ripping rookie mini camps. And first off, if you guys watched our Seahawks video a few days ago, I loved it. I loved the first couple of picks, but it was only after the first 2 days of the draft. And I still have to talk about Jaylen Milroe. I still have to talk about Damian Martinez, my favorite pick of the draft. Gray Zabel in the first round, man. We called it. We really did call it. Unfortunately for non-Seahawks fans, because they're going to hate what I'm about to say, but Jaylen Milroe reminds me of Jalen Hurts. I mean, just to keep it a buck with you, I know they played at the same college, but he really reminds me exactly or very similarly of Jalen Hurts, and we're going to talk about that in today's video. But, Milroe, I know, I'm so excited about Sam Darnold. I really am so excited about Sam Darnold on the Seahawks. But the way you guys set up his contract is a very good way, a very, very good way, very versatile way. And I love when GMs do that. But round 392, Jaylen Milroe, quarterback out of Bama. I remember after making my video, because you guys killed your first couple of picks, I remember right after it, you guys picked Jaylen Milroe, and it was like, oh man, they just continue to do what they're doing. Jaylen Milroe, when you get into the stats, it's kind of interesting because he earned an 87 plus PFF overall grade the past 2 seasons over at Alabama. He has seriously one of the strongest arms in the entire NCAA draft class this past year. I prefer looking back at his 2023 season with Alabama just because, last year wasn't the best. He threw some interceptions. He struggles with accuracy, and this is why he went in the 3rd round, and this was kind of a fun pick for Seattle. This is not a day one starter for Seattle. That's what Sam Darnold is for. This is for a guy to sit back there for a year or two, come in, God forbid an injury pops up. Let's see what he can do in preseason. This is something you're going to keep in your back pocket for at least 1 or 2 seasons. And I go back, like I said, to that 2023 year, Nick Saban's final season, and they lost in the semifinals to Michigan, and Milroe didn't really do anything too crazy, only 116 yards, no touchdowns, no passes. But like I said, I compared him to Jalen Hurts, and a lot of people fondly create or compare him to Lamar Jackson. The reason he reminds me of Jalen Hurts is because, first off, they're big boys, and they both have cannon of arms, and they have this physicality. And then obviously they played at Alabama, but I don't know. There's something about Jaylen Milroe last year that didn't really sit too well with me, in the sense of this used to be a 1st-round pick. This used to be a mocked 1st-round pick, a fun little, mid-late 1st-round pick, because he's a dual threat guy. He plays for Bama. They, went, I don't know if it was 13-2 or 12-2 in 2023, but like 2 years ago, this was a 1st-round pick. And, Alabama has a new head coach, and, Nick Saban is unreplaceable, especially in his first season. And so you guys saw it last year with the offense with Geno, and his first year with a new guy. It's just the context, right? Just context. So I really like the Jaylen Milroe move for the long term. And I want to comment really quickly on Gray Zabel, because I know we spent most of our last week's video talking about him. 18 overall. I'm glad most people in ESPN and Fox Sports and all those different big media brands with sports, I'm glad they finally came around to Gray Zabel, because I remember reading a couple of overreactions saying, who even is this guy? What's he even doing going 18th overall? Like, at best, he was a late 1st-round pick. We made a Seahawks video. I know I said this a couple of days ago, but we made a Seahawks video less than 24 hours before the draft, and I said, if Gray Zabel's there at 18, just please take him. But I don't think you will, because John Schneider's your GM. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. Because he does a good job at drafting. I just mean it in a guard at 18. Come on, dude, give me a break. Like Tyler Booker, Gray Zabel, going to Seattle in the 1st round. Come on, let's be real here. Gray earned a 90.4 PFF grade last season as a tackle at North Dakota State. He was one of the highest graded players at the Senior Bowl, playing on the interior at guard. He's versatile, as you can tell. He plays all 5 positions. He earned a 93.1 PFF pass blocking grade over the past 2 seasons. And you look at the Seahawks interior offensive line, this guy is perfect. Whether you had a couple of nice rookies last season at both guard spots, right? And I know they were up and down, up and down, up and down. Some people are big on Olu, some people are down on Olu. The good news is Gray Zabel can play all three of those positions. In fact, he can play all five. But specifically with Seattle's interior offensive line, you guys were 29th in PFF pass blocking grade and 24th in PFF run blocking grade. This guy changes everything, and I really hope this is the year the two tackles stay healthy. And then getting to round 7, 223, I've seen some Seahawks fans compare this to the Chris Carson pick a few years ago. I think this is like, I know I say this on a lot of videos. I like finding gems of all the different teams I covers and their drafts. But round 7, 223, Damian Martinez, running back out of Miami, I mean, he probably is the steal of the draft. Like, I'm not just hyping the Seahawks fans. I'm a Packers fan. Like, I actually hate playing in Seattle because you guys always show out. You have such a great fan base. This might be the steal of the draft. He's very physical. He even told reporters that Seattle just drafted another beast mode 2.0. 6 foot, 217 pounds. Most people projected him in the 3rd round. Most people at worst case had him going in the 4th round, and he went all the way in the 7th at 223. So, like I said, some people even have him like 230. Some people have him at 220. Some people have him at 217. The dude is big, and in his last 3 years at Oregon State and Miami, he was a beast. He was a consistent beast. He earned a career-low rushing grade of 88.1. And joining him is teammate Elijah Arroyo that I was huge on, and I know we talked about him in our last video, so I'll make it quick, but 7 touchdowns, 17 yards per catch last season. I love Noah Fant, and I hope they keep him. I know the cap space is a little bit weird, but I don't think Seattle's in like that bad of I don't think they're in a bad cap situation. So I assuming Noah Fant won't be a cap casualty, but long term, I'm loving Elijah Arroyo. And then I like my boy Riley Mills, defensive edge out of Notre Dame. I might even just make a whole video on him because I'm a biased Notre Dame football fan and I know them a little bit well. So stay tuned for that. But the 2 wide receivers, round 5, 166, Torrey Horton, wide receiver out of Colorado State. Big dude, 6'3", 196 pounds, very fast. 4.41 seconds in the 40-yard dash at the scouting combine. And that was actually right after he resumed running following surgery for a knee/hamstring that sidelined him for most of last year. But in his college career over 5 seasons, he returned 3 punts for a touchdown, along with 27 total catches for a touchdown. He was 112th on PFF's big board, and he missed time due to injury last season. So that's the reason he fell all the way to the 5th round. But I'm telling you, this is going to be a guy next season who produces for Sam Darnold and the Seattle Seahawks. And then round 7, 238, Ricky White III, wide receiver out of UNLV. I don't know what it is about your guys' 2 7th-rounder picks, but they actually might have had a 3rd. I think he had a 3rd. Sorry to the 3rd. We'll talk about all these guys as the summer goes on. But Ricky White's really interesting because at UNLV, he was a beast. And he was also a beast on both sides of the football in special teams. So stay tuned for some of these gems for the Seahawks. I'm sorry, guys. I got to go watch Game 6, second half, Rockets Warriors. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that like button. Hit that sub button. Give me your thoughts on the Seahawks draft down below. Give me your favorite player and a hidden gem. I'm going with Damian Martinez, but I do love Jaylen Milroe. That's it for me. Peace.